Some places on Earth look so unreal that your brain immediately assumes they must be CGI, special effects, or computer-generated scenes from a movie or a video game. Perfect curves, impossible colors, mirror-like surfaces, and geometric patterns that seem way too precise to be natural. But what if I told you that every single place in this video is 100% real? No CGI, no digital rendering, no visual effects. These places exist right now on our planet, and many of them look so surreal that even photos don't feel trustworthy. Yet they were shaped entirely by nature, through water, heat, minerals, erosion, and time. In this video, you'll see 10 real locations that look like they were designed by a computer, but were created by the Earth itself. And the further we go, the more unbelievable they become. Let's start with the first one. 1. Pamukkale, Turkey. At first glance, Pamukkale looks like a massive frozen waterfall made of pure white stone. Layer after layer of smooth, curved terraces stretch down the mountainside, filled with bright turquoise water. It looks artificial, almost like a luxury resort, carved out of marble. But Pamukkale is completely natural. For thousands of years, hot mineral-rich water has flowed down this hillside. As the water cooled, it left behind calcium deposits called travertine. Slowly, over time, these deposits hardened, forming the perfectly shaped pools we see today. The white color isn't paint or stone tiles, it's pure mineral buildup. And the vivid blue water comes from natural springs still flowing through the terraces. What makes Pamukkale especially surreal is how symmetrical and clean it looks. Nature rarely creates shapes that appear this polished. Yet people have been bathing in these pools since ancient Roman times. It's not CGI, it's geology at work. 2. Antelope Canyon, USA. Antelope Canyon looks like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. Smooth, flowing walls twist and curve in impossible shapes, glowing orange, red, and purple as sunlight filters down from above. The canyon feels sculpted, like an art installation carved by hand. But every curve was created naturally by flash floods. Over millions of years, rushing water carved narrow passages through solid sandstone. Each flood smoothed the walls a little more, creating the wave-like forms we see today. What makes Antelope Canyon look unreal is how the light behaves inside it. Sunbeams enter through narrow openings, reflecting off the curved walls and creating gradients that feel digitally enhanced. But there's no trick, no artificial lighting, no editing, just sunlight, stone, and time. 3. Fly Geyser, Nevada, USA. Fly Geyser looks like a failed science experiment from a video game. Bright reds, greens, and yellows spill over a strange cone-shaped structure, constantly steaming and bubbling. It doesn't look natural at all, and yet it is. This geyser was accidentally created in the 1960s when humans drilled for geothermal energy. Instead of sealing the hole properly, mineral-rich water began to escape and never stopped. Over decades, minerals built up around the opening, slowly forming the colorful mound we see today. The vivid colors come from heat-loving algae that thrive in extreme temperatures. What makes Fly Geyser look like CGI is the contrast, neon colors against an otherwise barren desert. But everything about it is real, active, and still growing. Nature took a human mistake and turned it into something unbelievable. 4. Svartifoss, Iceland. Svartifoss looks less like a natural waterfall and more like a carefully designed monument. Tall, dark stone columns rise vertically around the falling water, forming a dramatic frame that feels architectural rather than organic. What makes this place so surreal is the shape of the rocks themselves. They form near-perfect hexagonal columns, stacked tightly together like massive stone tiles. At first glance, it's easy to assume these shapes were carved by humans. But Svartifoss was created entirely by volcanic activity. When lava cooled rapidly, it contracted and cracked in a very specific geometric pattern. Over time, erosion removed the surrounding material, exposing these towering basalt columns. The waterfall formed later, flowing directly between the columns, amplifying the illusion of design. Nature didn't plan aesthetics here, but the result feels intentional. Svartifoss is proof that physics alone can create scenes that look engineered. 5. Salar de Uyuni, Bolivia. Salar de Uyuni doesn't look like a place on Earth. It looks like a digital environment where the sky has been duplicated below your feet. During the rainy season, a thin layer of water covers the salt flat, turning it into a flawless mirror. There's no visible horizon, no depth, and no clear boundary between ground and sky. What makes this illusion so powerful is the extreme flatness of the surface. This salt flat is so level that even satellites use it to calibrate instruments. Photos taken here often appear fake, edited, or computer-generated. People seem to float. Clouds appear both above and below. But nothing here is artificial. The effect exists because of geometry, reflection, and scale. Salar de Uyuni shows how reality can look unreal without any manipulation. 6. Giant Crystal Cave, Mexico. Entering the giant crystal cave feels like stepping into a science fiction movie. Massive translucent crystals extend in every direction, some longer than a bus and thicker than a human body. The scale alone makes it hard to believe these formations are real. They don't look like natural crystals. They look constructed. But these crystals grew slowly over hundreds of thousands of years. The cave was filled with mineral-rich water at extremely stable temperatures, allowing uninterrupted growth. Nothing shattered them. Nothing disturbed them. That stability allowed the crystals to grow to sizes never seen elsewhere on Earth. What looks like fantasy is actually extreme patience. This cave is one of the clearest examples of how time alone can create impossible structures. 7. Deadvlei, Namibia. Deadvlei looks like a carefully staged movie set, not a natural landscape. Black, lifeless trees stand frozen in time on a white clay surface, surrounded by towering red sand dunes. The contrast is so extreme that the scene feels digitally composed. What makes this place especially unsettling is that the trees aren't burned. They died more than 900 years ago when the climate changed and water disappeared from the area. Normally, dead trees rot, collapse, or disappear entirely. But Deadvlei is so dry that decomposition simply stopped. The trees never fell. They never decayed. They were preserved exactly where they stood. Sunlight hardens the ground beneath them, while the desert air prevents bacteria from breaking them down. The result is a landscape that looks paused, as if someone pressed freeze on reality. Deadvlei isn't just visually shocking, it's time made visible. 8. Glowworm Caves, New Zealand. At first glance, the glowworm caves look like a night sky trapped underground. Thousands of tiny blue lights cover the cave ceiling, reflecting softly on the dark water below. The illusion is so convincing that many people assume it's artificial lighting. But every point of light is a living organism. Glowworms produce bioluminescent light to attract prey. Individually, the glow is subtle. Together, it transforms the cave into something otherworldly. What makes this phenomenon feel unreal is how evenly distributed the lights appear. There's no randomness, no chaos. The cave looks intentionally designed, like a digital star field. Yet this is biology, not technology. No electricity, no projections, no effects. Just evolution, creating a scene that feels cosmic. 9. The Wave, Arizona, USA. The wave looks like a 3D render carved into stone. Smooth sandstone layers curve and flow like frozen waves, perfectly aligned and uninterrupted. Every line appears deliberate. Every color transition feels too clean to be natural. But this formation wasn't sculpted by tools or hands. It was shaped slowly by wind, rain, and sediment over millions of years. Different layers of rock eroded at different speeds, revealing the flowing patterns beneath. The curves weren't carved, they were uncovered. What makes the wave feel artificial is the absence of imperfections. There are no sharp breaks, no chaotic angles, just continuous motion captured in stone. It's erosion acting with extreme patience and precision. 10. The Blue Eye of Albania. At first glance, the Blue Eye of Albania looks like a digital effect. A perfectly round pool of water, intensely blue at the center, fading into lighter shades toward the edges. It looks less like nature and more like something generated by a graphics engine. What makes this place so unsettling is the depth. No one knows exactly how deep the Blue Eye really is. Divers have gone down more than 50 meters and still haven't reached the bottom. The water emerges from an underground spring under enormous pressure, creating constant movement at the center. That motion gives the illusion of an eye staring back at you. The colors are completely natural. The deep blue comes from light absorption, while the turquoise edges are caused by shallow reflections and minerals. There are no filters here, no enhancement, no digital manipulation. Just geology, water pressure, and light combining to create something that feels unreal, yet exists quietly in the real world. When we see places like these, our first instinct is disbelief. We assume there must be editing, effects, or CGI involved. But none of this was created by software. These landscapes exist because reality operates on timescales we rarely comprehend. Millions of years, extreme pressure, subtle forces acting without interruption. What looks impossible isn't fake, it's simply unfamiliar. If this video made you question what's real, you're not alone. And there's much more like this waiting to be discovered. Subscribe if you want to keep exploring the side of reality that feels unreal. Because the most unbelievable things on Earth are already real.